Welcome everyone to Male Fuzz TV. I am Peter, that is Tara. We talk about TV shows here. The year is 2022 and the name of the show is Babylon 5. This is season 5, episode 15. It's called Darkness Ascending. So full spoilers for the episode as always. We're back here. We've got a plot line, we got a linear plot line, and we got some Garibaldi drama, which we kind of saw coming given they've ended with the alcoholism tease at the end of like multiple episodes at this point. It made sense that was going to be a focus here. But what were your general thoughts on Darkness Ascending, Tara?
I like this episode. I do. It's a good episode.
Why does it sound like you don't believe, or it sounds like you're saying that in a way, you're phrasing that in a way, your tone suggests that you're going to really say something negative later, and you're trying to like sugarcoat everything right now with saying it's a good episode. It's a good episode.
No, I think it is a good episode. I think the Lita Jakar conversation just
you're thinking
laugh.
You're thinking about Lita's pleasure threshold. I could tell. I could see it in your face.
I never wanted to re-examine that ever again. I like Jakar. Why is season 5 doing this to me?
Jakar's still likable here. To be fair, Lita kind of flirts back a little bit in this scene.
Oh, she does, yeah.
I mean, you don't turn around and go, oh, by the way, I don't have a pleasure threshold, and then walk out if you're not being a little flirty into the conversation.
What did Byron do to her?
He unlocked a threshold, apparently. A door was opened. Spiritually, physically, I don't know, all of the above.
Oh, boy. Actually, I really liked when they first, said, sorry, I am getting over an illness. So my voice is a little weird.
Yeah,
but
an illness. You might have heard of it.
Yeah, I got COVID. Anyway, yeah, so I like when they first meet up, or all right, let me just set the scene here. So Lita's trying to get a place for her people, her rogue telepaths. I guess she is still trying to find something for them to do to continue Byron's work, and she's getting rejected from other people because everybody is linked to the Psy-Corps in some way. And basically this guy tells her, good luck trying to find someone who isn't. And
to be fair, he's sympathetic enough. He's like, we can't get insurance for unlicensed telepaths. So just, It's too big of a risk.
Right. The Psy-Corps has their hold on the galaxy. So good luck. And then she goes, well, not the Narn. So she gives Jakar a call and they meet up. And I instantly think oh yeah, Jakar had this conversation with her a long time ago about having.
Is this the Gathering? I want to say it's the very first thing they had this conversation.
Yeah. I wasn't sure at first, but then Lita confirms it later on. So she. I remember them having this conversation and I'm like, oh, that's a neat idea. Maybe the rogue telepaths can just live on Narn and they can work out a deal or something to where they could offer their services or try to figure out a way to get Narns. Maybe some of them will naturally fall in love with Narns. Who knows? If you have a bunch of telepaths on your planet, maybe they could work something out. That's kind of a cool thing.
They can just spew into a cup and they can use the DNA. It's fine.
Don't say spoon.
It's a Babylon 5 word though.
Don't say it like that. Spoon's a noun, okay?
I used it in a context that is the show's not offered me, but it fits so well into that sentence.
We're going to get some angry crystals written at us. Keep using it like that.
Spook can be a verb.
Yeah, so anyway, what I didn't realize was that this is the only time in the history of the show that Lita and Jakar have had a conversation with each other. And so this is actually the follow-up conversation to that from
Which
5 years ago.
Yeah, before you get to the details, I do love them acknowledging and like sort of they're both very different people now. We've both grown a lot. And hey, I remembered you making this offer, and like, hey, this actually might be suitable now because I have this. You know, we need money, we need ships, we need to find a homeworld, blah blah blah. What you're not as thrilled about, at least what I'm getting from the tone, is the continue. Because if you remember correctly, in that scene in the gathering, he kind of flirted with her a little bit and said, "Oh, we could take your DNA, or we could just do a traditional."
We do it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, we just have sex. But I have to warn you, you know, the Narn pleasure threshold is much greater than that of a human being. And you know, we know that Jakar likes his Earth chicks. We've seen evidence of this. So immediately Jakar, when she's like trying to bring up this offer, he immediately sort of goes, yes, take some genetic samples or the old-fashioned way. He sort of looks at her really intense.
He kind of went real creep on her. I'm like, come on, Jakar, she's in your quarters. This is not it's not appropriate. You're a different man now.
I don't think. I mean, he's grown in so many ways. Not all of his like improvements as a character and him dealing with his resentment over the Centauri and becoming this great leader, great politician. You know, this great ambassador. All these things. It's all kind of separate from his sex life.
Perviness.
His sex life is just kind of its own thing. And clearly he still wants a bit of Leah, as this scene shows. So him and Zach can fight to the death, and then Leah can, Leah can pick, obviously. She's got a right to pick, but I mean, maybe she wants them.
Zach's not into Leah.
Zach's totally into Leah. Of course he is.
No, I don't think so.
Of course he is. If he hears about this pleasure threshold thing, he's going to be lining up. Just mark my words.
Well, yeah, in any case, I immediately was like, don't bring it up, Jakar, don't bring it up. And he brought it up, and he brought it up in a super creepy way. Like, why is this happening?
But then, she smelled it off, though, and the scene went on, and she made the offer. We need all these things. Would you still be interested? And Jakar's only kind of like sticking point in the scene was, well, you want it to be done in secrecy from everyone else, and given this new alliance, that may be a bit awkward to keep it a secret, so let me talk to my government, blah, blah, blah. And she comes back later, and I actually quite like this scene, the second scene, which is, he says, okay, my government's agreeing to all this under the condition that occasionally your telepaths, like, you know, maybe listen to the other ambassadors from time to time. And Leah thinks about it for a second. He says, well, in that case, I have to decline. But this turned out to be a test, which I actually really liked. I liked it because it did kind of feel wrong that Jakar would want that now. Maybe his government still would, but
oh yeah, I immediately was just like, he's just testing her.
Yeah, so they've got a deal. They're both happy, and so they're moving forward with this. Will any other thresholds be advanced upon? We'll find out, I suppose. But certainly
this is the next what was his name? Cole and Ivanova thing that I definitely don't want. No.
I don't think they're setting up a romance. I don't.
Also, like, it just comes off as like Lita really needs something from Jakar. And like, it seems like she's just willing to give her body in order to get that, and Jakar might be willing to take advantage of it. And
I disagree with that.
Like that.
No, I disagree with that. I didn't get that impression from this scene at all.
How could you not?
No. He just, like, they have a
Who has the power play here, though?
But they have a see her moment when she leaves the scene and says, you know, by the way, I'd recently found out I don't have a pleasure threshold, and she sort of smiles and walks away, and then he's like, oh, right. That moment to me felt like her showing how confident she is now. She doesn't feel like she is at any risk here. She feels that she's in control to me in that moment.
No, that came off to me as like, I know he wants my body, so I'm just going to play along with this because I need to get him to save my people.
I think I don't know. I think I disagree with this. I think you are underestimating Leah here.
How is there not a power dynamic here going on that you're ignoring? Like, she needs to save people.
I don't think
he wants sex.
I don't.
So she's telling him, look,
But
by
that's
the
not
way,
part of
I
the
can give you
deal.
sex.
No, she's not saying that. Look, see if next episode he's like, it's time to pay up, right? And I've misread this, then fair enough. I'll concede all of this. I do not think any part of this scene is her implying that she's willing to have any sexual encounter with Shakar. I think
What?
No, she's not. She is purely showing how confident she is and that she's willing to sort of like play along the dialogue. I don't think she's actually proposing anything
Her
here.
boyfriend just died.
And what's your point?
I guess people do get over that kind of thing quickly.
But no, I'm not. But that's the opposite of what I'm saying, though. She's not offering anything here. I disagree with this.
Mm-hmm.
No, I do.
No,
I think you're wrong.
I think this is not written very well at all. Mm-mm.
I disagree.
Don't like it.
No, I actually
I think the bare bones of it looks really bad.
I think you're misreading this. I think it's more nuanced than that. I think this is her just being confident and willing to joke about it because she doesn't feel like this is an awkward like request anymore. This is like, no, I have power here. I'm not scared. And I think the opening scene's supposed to show that as well, where she's coolly testing her abilities with Garibaldi and making him forget in his dream. Let's not gloss over that weird, creepy scene.
No, I definitely wanted to talk about that because that was done really well.
Which, for the record here, if we're talking about being intrusive and doing something creepy, you know, that's pretty high on the list here. She's invading someone's mind and then be like, oh, but you can forget about this. Like, and sure, Garibaldi does kind of feel like, wait, was there someone else here? He sort of says something like that after, you know, he's talking to Eliza, but or not Eliza, Lise, that's her name. It's like a weird, it's like Lisa, but not quite Lise. But so he clearly has a feeling, but yeah, I think he's forgotten that it was Lita, and that's kind of creepy. Like, so I think Lita's doing some dodgy stuff of her own.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But I think this scene in particular, I don't think it's what you're reading it as. I genuinely don't.
I think that it is written the way that you're saying it, but I'm saying it doesn't come off that way anymore. Not in a post like Me Too world. You can't watch that scene and think that these two people are equal in this scenario. I mean, even the scene. Look, even the scene with Franklin when he brings the girl to his place because sickbay was further. I mean, even that like was written in a way where, you know, in the 90s, like, oh yeah, this is fine. But like now, when you watch it, you're like, no, this doesn't work anymore.
I think I just disagree with you on this. I can't agree with you because I don't think the scene implies that there's any sort of like suggestion of sexual activity for this to go down. And then when the deal is actually made later, not only is it still not a part of it, she actually shows that she has not only power but the confidence and the morality to turn down the deal because she doesn't like the terms that are being presented to her. And that to me shows that she was never in risk of being taken advantage of in any way, shape or form. So I don't feel this at all from the scenes. I have to just disagree with you on this. I can't.
But I mean, yeah, the second scene is definitely better because they don't talk about sex in that one. But I think in the first scene, it's not a good scene. It's not. No, I don't like it. I mean, I like the bare bones of like the telepaths need to work with the Narn and then the Narn need the telepaths and stuff like that.
Maybe this is just a gender split thing here, but I really liked the scene and I thought it was fine. But it was not good. And I thought Shakar acted a little creepy with his look when it first came up, but I thought by the end of the scene, the way she kind of took power back in the moment, I thought was a good ender to the scene. And I left that scene feeling like Lita left with the upper hand. So I don't know. I don't feel that at all.
Don't like it.
All right, we can move on. The comments can tell which one of us they agree with. That's all. Sound
Come
off,
on, ladies.
Sound off below. But this is the thing, though. I think Lita leaves the scene feeling the powerful one. So this is not me like. I mean,
yeah, she's definitely using her sexuality here, but she's using it because she knows that that's something that he wants.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't quite see it, but fair enough. We can move on because we'll just go around in circles. Because I just think you're wrong about this.
It's a gross scene.
And I'd like to think I'm not saying that in a way.
Shikar is more like Gandhi than I want him to be.
But I don't think my disagreement with you here is me having some sort of weird problematic view of it. I just don't think I read it the same way you do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Look at that.
I don't see you as problematic.
I know, but the way you're phrasing the scene is making me sound like a monster for saying I like it, saying I think it's okay. I'm trying to say that I don't think it is problematic for, you know, these 2 or 3 reasons, but, you know, whatever. People in the comments can let us know what they think. But that was basically all their stuff. That was all that.
Yeah, basically.
Other than her snooping around in mines when they're sleeping and, you know, testing her abilities, doing hell knows what.
I like the way it was shot too, where he just wakes up and Lita's like sitting down and she's got like just flashlight eyes.
She looks creepy, and it's especially troublesome actually in this moment that she's even willing to test this in Garibaldi, given he's the one who's been the most invasively, like, you know, violated in this way because of what Bester did to him. So it's actually kind of like a major dick move to. I mean, I guess from her perspective, she's just thinking, well, I'm going to wipe. He's not supposed to wake up and notice, and if he does, I'll just wipe his memory. So from her, that's her perspective. But it does kind of feel a bit. It's a bit. I don't know. You know, unless it's not really her and there's something else going on here. But I kind of got the impression that this is just her, like, testing her abilities.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it could have been just, you know, Garibaldi actually having a nightmare about being violated.
That's true. That's not a terrible suggestion actually, because he would maybe just have a natural, even though Lita's like someone he kind of trusts and knows. This idea that he just has this fear of telepaths now, on a very deep level is possible. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when the scene ended, I thought, oh, that's just Lita doing this for some reason, and it does seem like that's a bit too far, Lita. But maybe it is. Maybe Garibaldi's just having that nightmare about it. Yeah, I didn't really think about that till now.
It still feels like it's Lita to me if I was to pick a side, because it feels like it sets her up for the episode, and then we see her like in her own plot afterwards. It felt like, oh, here, this is her setup, and then from here we can like continue onto her own plot. That felt intentional to me, but that could also just be like a thematic thing where, okay, we're going to remind you Lita exists this weird way, and then her scene will come in, you know, later. But that's kind of how I feel about it. Garibaldi himself, though, to pivot into him, Lisa's back on the station, very quickly discovers that he's drinking again and chews him out for it. And he kind of verbalizes some things that we've been saying about his decision to start drinking again, about how he's felt this total loss of control, and on some level this is something that he feels he's choosing to do as opposed to being a complete victim to someone else. The way Elise puts it is that he's okay with going off the road as long as he's behind the wheel. But you know, she makes him promise not to drink when she's there. He says yes and pours the booze down the sink. But then, of course, when they have one slightly tense conversation, he's immediately like sneaking booze into his coffee and stuff at the restaurant. I also like, this is another callback to a really early thing back from season 1, is that the last time he ate in this restaurant was the day he got shot in the back and like everything went to hell at the end of season 1. And I thought, this is a really weird thing that he's like, bad things are about to happen because I ate at that restaurant again. Like, I don't know, I got a chuckle out of that.
Well, I mean, the waiters made it seem like he comes there often now to drink. Because he had like the worst server ever, you know? The guy's like, what would you like to drink, sir? Coffee. But what would you like to drink, sir? Coffee. What would you like to drink, sir? Like, he said coffee. What is wrong with this guy?
Well, yeah, I was going to bring up that scene, but I don't think that implies that he goes there often, because he straight up, I have no reason to not believe Garibaldi when he says, I've not been here, and like, because he straight up says, I've not been here since I ate with Sinclair. He says that in the scene.
Oh, I don't recall that, but I mean, I'm not saying that it didn't happen when I say it that way. I'm like, maybe you're right, but like the server definitely made it seem like he knows that Garibaldi is a drinker.
He comes over and just sort of says, "Oh, you wanted the special coffee. Oh, I'll understand. That's what you want from now on." I didn't get any impression here that he knows Garibaldi at all.
Why was he?
No,
why was coffee not a good enough answer then?
No, I agree. He's acting weird. Like I thought it was a weird conversation too. The way he, like just keeps saying, "Oh yeah, but what do you want to drink? You want coffee after dinner? Sure." I'm like, is it that weird for someone to want coffee with dinner? That doesn't seem that strange to me. But
yeah,
he doesn't seem to accept the idea that someone doesn't want booze with their dinner. Maybe if Garibaldi had said water, he would have not argued with him.
Nah, that's weird. It's a weird scene. This is like the worst server ever.
Anyway, the other important thing about their scenes is that he's been planning to move to Mars with her, and she's pissed at him for not telling the others yet, which is why he kind of gets frustrated and goes to sneak booze into his coffee in the first place. That's more or less it, other than the ending where he comes back and tells her that she needs to leave immediately, which comes off sounding rude, but he has like it's more of a concern that he has that they're about to enter war. He doesn't want her around, which is a bit more understandable. But he comes in and says leave, and I'm like, you've had a bit of a tetchy like atmosphere with her since she arrived. Everything's been very strained. Maybe don't walk in the room and go leave without any context. Might set her off in the wrong idea, in a bad mood kind of thing.
There's a couple of lines like that, and there was another one later on with Sheridan when he's talking to Delenn, where he phrases something in a way where she has to like think the worst before like he says, but it's okay. And why do people do that?
Yeah, I actually did like a moment with Delenn and Sheridan later where he gets mad that she just agrees with them when he's like angry at her. He's like, damn it, I've been angry all day and I wanted to yell at you. You're making it hard because you're just giving in immediately. I found that oddly relatable for whatever reason.
I think with the Garibaldi plot and the lease, when she shows up, and she just shows up in the middle of the night while he's sleeping and at his door, and she surprises him that she's there. This happens a lot in the show where I'm just like, do people not send a crystal ahead of time to let them know, like just in case they're not there? Garibaldi goes on missions and stuff all the time, and
that's true. That's true.
It just seems there's a lot of confidence that like, no, they'll be there. I'm just gonna show up.
Yeah. Although it was in the middle of the night though, because they made a point of us saying that he would normally be up and working at this time already. Well, and he said he had 1 hour or something, right? Yeah, he said that he was sleeping in for a bit and he's going to wake up in an hour, and they cuts away as they start to have sex. But I think the implication there being that because he's drinking, he's sleeping in later than he normally does. Normally he's very militant. He gets up 6 a.m. on the dot every day or whatever it is. Yeah. And gets working. So yeah, no, that stuff was fine. Like, I appreciated that it didn't repeat the same beat at the end again.
It kind of just ends abruptly. Like, they don't really have very much resolve. Just, we might be going to war, so you gotta go.
Well, I think I do actually quite like that in this context, because this idea, because it comes right after, like, Garibaldi's been out of the loop with everyone else, and like Sheridan's like, hey, we're about to need you more than we ever have before. It kind of sets it up in this cliffhanger of, oh shit, they're about to possibly be in this war scenario again, and this is going to get really messy because of the way things are with Londo and the Centauri, and he has to be in the top of his game, and we know that he's not in the top of his game. We know that he is the most compromised that he's potentially been since we've ever seen him since the start of the show. So it does leave it in this kind of interesting place where obviously his intentions are in the best place, but his drinking problem is there, and it's really going to mess things up potentially. And it's kind of this bubbling over. You almost hope that Lisa will tell someone before she goes. And that's not to say that she even knows that she needs to tell anyone. Maybe she thinks other people know. Maybe she doesn't realize it's a secret from other people. Like, she may not know that, but you kind of, I think as an audience member, you're kind of hoping, run into Sheridan and mention it, please. just so that they've got like some ideas and context, and don't trust him with important missions when he's maybe going to be, because we've already seen him be compromised on a mission. They don't know he was drinking, but
yeah,
we saw the fallout of that.
Isn't she like the most richest person in the solar system also? Like one of the most richest humans around? surprised like Garibaldi didn't just retire and be like, I'm just going to live with my rich wife on Mars, or my rich girlfriend, make her my wife on Mars.
I don't know.
And like just relax. I mean, the only thing I could think is that maybe he just, well, one, he loves his job, which is debatable. And then two, he really wants to drink in secret, so he has to be away from her.
Yeah, but he didn't decide to start drinking until he was already back at work. That's
yeah, I know.
That's choice. No, I think the obvious big thing you're missing, other than that he's just sort of dedicated and he's always been a working kind of man, is I think there's an element of making up for what happened when Bester messed with him. I think, you know, being there to help this alliance get kicked off with Sheridan and all that is in part like him trying to make up for all the bad things that he technically did, even though we know it wasn't really him.
Yeah, I guess it's just going through all that. Sounds like somebody deserves a nice retirement.
I'm not surprised at Garibaldi's choice, though. You know, I get what you're saying from a logical perspective, but I think Garibaldi being who he is, I actually get why he's not. And in this episode in particular, it kind of feels like when she's asking and talking about, you know, when you live on Mars and this, it kind of feels like she's almost tricking herself into even believing that he's going to do this. It kind of feels like, I mean, obviously because we know we're coming up to the end of the show, he might make that choice, and that'll be nice for him to have that happy ending where he goes and leaves the life of work and just goes to be in Mars with the person he cares about, and that'll be a nice ending for him if that's what he gets. But it does kind of feel like that'll be a big like change for him, because right now it kind of feels like the sort of person who never will make that choice because he's just too much of a, I don't know, a loyal, like, not worker, but like, you know, more of a military thing where he's like, you know, devoted and all that. So yeah, so from a character perspective, like that's all played out kind of like how I'd expect it to, and the scenes were, it wasn't as maybe as exciting as some of the other stuff, except from the I think my favorite thing in the episode is probably this growing tension as Londo's realizing he's been left out of things. And I think what I like about it and why it feels more layered than anything else going on in the show right now is that Londo is completely and utterly innocent, which is a complete flip from like the past seasons where he was like, you know, various levels of guilty about things. Here, you know, Centauri, and it's not even really the Centauri, it's this other alien force that's, you know, controlling them that we've been privy to as the audience, but they're setting him up to think, oh, like Sheridan and that are going to go against you and try and blame us for all these attacks. You have to make sure that, you know, you defend us. And then on the other side, like, I think the moment that got me is, you know, when they get the proof from Lanier, we'll talk about Lanier's plot in a bit, but when they get the proof from Lanier, Delenn has this moment where she sees Londo and goes up and hugs him, and he's like kind of confused and says, you know, what's that for? And she's like, I've never done that before, and I feel like soon I might not be able to, which is obviously hinting quite heavily that there's going to be conflict soon. But my favorite part of it is that all these main characters, they know, or at least they think, that Londo's innocent. They don't actually believe Londo's guilty of anything, but they still have to treat him like he is like the head of the enemy. And you know, there's even like a hint earlier on when he's talking to Veer about like why did the royal court want to know about all these shipping like things? You know, they never usually ask about this, and it moves on past it quite quickly. But it's that little moment that says, yeah, he is, without knowing he's doing it, feeding them the information they want about these attacks so they can do them. You know, it's just that little nugget. But I think that's the tragedy here, is that Londo is completely innocent and he feels like he's been villainized, and he's being manipulated by his own government. He's being kind of villainized by his friends who he's grown to care about. Even though they know he's innocent, they still have to treat him that way. So there's a good tragedy element of all this. So if you like Londo in any way, shape or form, if you sympathize and want to like Londo, you can't help but feel bad for him right now, because like everything's putting him in the center of this conflict where he's not actually responsible for any of it. And it's interesting. It's also different from his participation in past like events where he has been the cause of a lot of things. He did deserve a lot of his comeuppance and a lot of like results. Here though, he's actually completely innocent, and he's still going to be the one held responsible, even more so perhaps, and that's kind of a shame.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to see how Londo is completely innocent of anything, but yeah, I guess he's in this case.
How is he not completely innocent of this?
Well, he's just not a completely innocent person.
That's not what we're talking about, though. He is completely innocent as far as he has been a good member of the Alliance. He's showed up to meetings. He's been forthright.
Show up to meetings,
right? He's got nothing to do with these attacks on the trade routes.
Yes, you're right. He is completely innocent in this case, and he's.
Well, continue. I have nothing to add. You continue.
Yeah. Okay. I think I do enjoy this storyline. Also, I like the progression, and I think Delenn giving him a hug and saying that I've never done that and I won't be able to do it in the future, and then leaving is like, well, that was pretty ominous, and I'm sure Lando's got some questions. It was an interesting scene. We'll see where this goes. I really like Veer. Veer's a good character. He's definitely innocent.
I thought I looked a bit pink there. I was playing with my white balance. I know it's quite late in the review now for it to matter as much, but that was bugging me.
They look much better now.
Yeah. Yeah, so Lanier's whole plot, he basically damn near kills himself trying to get proof that the Centauri ships are behind these attacks by going rogue in a little short-range craft, a little fighter. He has to meditate to lower his heart rate so he doesn't use as much oxygen. Delenn, is basically told that he's probably dead, but she refuses to believe it, and she ends up being right. Obviously, he does show up with the proof. He's able to pull this off, and it's a nice, it's a fine little plot. There's some nice sequences. The actual scene where he's witnessing the attack and the ship's begging to be left alone because there's children aboard and they get shot down anyway. It presents the harsh and serious crimes that are being committed here, which is going to naturally lead to a very hostile tone and environment in the next bit of the story, which is going to make it all the more sort of tragic when this alliance maybe starts to break down a little bit because they're going to have to blame the Centauri, and we know that it's not really their fault because they're being controlled by something else, and so.
Do you think it's going to be the telepaths that are able, Lita is going to be the one who says, look, there's something else going on, I hear a different voice coming from the Centauri?
Yeah. That's the thing, because even though we got that glimpse of the future where we saw old Londo and he talks to Sheridan and that, when Sheridan kind of got that glimpse of the future, I do wonder, we never really got a sense of how much our other main characters know about this in the future. Do they know he's being controlled by something in the future? We don't know. We actually don't know. So I have no idea if by the end of the season Sheridan and co are going to know this, or if this is going to be something that's still a mystery, which will be really sad if they end the show thinking Londo's just the villain again, which would be a shame.
Yeah, or just the Centauri as a whole. The planet is just, is cursed by war, inevitable war. Even when there is this great peace that's forming, they have to, because of their former sins, they're never going to be allowed it. Yeah,
I love how you almost went into your own version of the Centaura there.
Centauri.
Centaura.
Centaura. I don't hate it.
It's just lots of you walking around in those fancy regal outfits.
Man, I don't look good bald.
I mean, this is your own version. You don't have to be bald. You can.
Okay.
The Centaura.
I'll take a fan. I'll do the fan look over the bald look.
The Centaura can be whatever you want it to be.
I have a good shaped head, but I've got a mole here. I don't want that on display.
Some of us don't have much choice in the matter.
You would be very regal in Centaura.
Oh dear.
You've got the Molari.
I've got the Molari. You've got the mole, I've got the Molari.
I don't like this conversation anymore.
you did it to yourself. So yeah. No, I enjoyed this episode actually. I think it's probably one of the better ones that we've had recently. I think basically what I'm saying is at the end of the episode, this sense of tragedy as Londo's feeling more and more left out and noticing they're talking behind his back, and the hug with Delenn, and then this time tomorrow we're probably going to be at war with Centauri. I actually felt that sense of impending doom that I've not felt in the show since we were in the Shadow War and we were building up to that. Now this I don't imagine is going to feel as big when it actually happens, because we've only got less than half a season left now, but I felt something from it in a way that I've not felt in a little while from the show. So, yeah, points.
Do you think that they're doomed to the planet?
Well, the Centauri?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Sheridan doesn't know a little bit, right? He's got to remember at least a little bit.
You would hope he does. I mean, he never found out that he was being controlled by someone.
Well, he did have to do the whispering, right? Because, like, Londo would drink, because that would be the only way to silence the other voice.
That's true. I'd have to go back and look at the scene again to remember exactly what Londo said to him. But I don't remember if it was clear to Sheridan that there was something. Maybe it was, and I just don't remember the details as well as I think I do. But
it's been a little while.
Yeah. No, I was curious to see, like, I mean, I think they're kind of doomed in the sense that, assuming the future's not going to change, and I don't necessarily think it is, Centauri Prime has to be under this control in the future, so it's going to be kind of a bittersweet ending for, I think, the Centauri side of the show, no matter what at this point, because we know that's what their future is.
Yeah, I think that's where it's headed, but already, like, the plot with Shakar seems to be very different. He's not wearing the eye patch anymore, and
That's true.
And he's kind of becoming his own little deity on his planet. So
you can always lose that robotic eye at some point, though. It's not out of the question.
And go back to the sweet leather eye patch. It was a good look.
Hey, maybe Lita will be into him more if he's got the eye patch. He says it.
Yeah, maybe she's into pirates.
Yeah. Shiver me timbers.
I mean, yeah, if she wants to.
Yeah, no, Darkness Ending, I think, is one of the better episodes we've had recently. I think this season's had a lot of very pleasant episodes that have had nice character beats. This is the first time in a while, though, I've felt some sort of like build to something like that feels like it's, I feel like the tragedy of this, which is a big part of what makes the show work, is feeling this like inevitable future that you wish you could change and you want the characters to find a better way out of, but maybe they can. And I felt a little bit about that here. So
yeah.
So that's good. But there you go. That's the thoughts on Darkness Ascending. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time with the next episode, and we are coming up on Third Space. I think that's after episode 17 is when that aired originally, so I think that's when we'll be doing that. I'll double check though before we get there, but I think it's after 17. So let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, all that stuff. You can get us on the Twitters at mail_fudge for channel updates, and of course if you want to support all the content, you can do that over at patreon.com/mailfuzztv, and also with a one-time super thanks if that's more preferable to you, but any and all help is wonderful and helps keep all the content coming. So but that is the show. That is us. Thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching Babylon 5. Just don't give away the home world.